Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. Today we're going to help Mike from the Plex Media Server Support Group hook up his new DX517 expansion unit to his DS720 Plus Synology NAS. So I can't find a good tutorial video that shows you how to do that on YouTube, so I had an empty DX517 I was waiting to use when needed, plus a bunch of old 4 terabyte Iron Wolf drives, so I decided to hook the expansion unit up to my DS1520 and throw in 2 of the drives. So this is a document that you need. I'll put a link in the description. It doesn't really say how to create a volume on an expansion unit, but it does tell you how to create a volume, and that's all you need to know. And hopefully this video will be a one-shot take, and I won't have to reference too much. But what I've done so far is I have shut down my NAS, I've installed the drives in the expansion unit, plugged in the cable that connects the two, plugged the power unit for the expansion unit into my UPS, and booted the NAS back up and waited for all the processes to restart. So what we have is my original NAS and now the expansion unit, and you'll see that all bays are filled in the 1520, and you'll see 2 out of the 5 bays are filled in the expansion unit. If I click into storage, you're only going to see the drives that are part of storage pool 1. If I click into volume, it's basically the same view. If I click onto HDD/SSD, you'll see all my drives. And the bottom 2 are marked as healthy, and they are in the DX517-1. This NAS accepts 2 separate expansion units, so if I added a second DX517, they'd be labeled DX517-2. So you kind of know what is in what, and I imagine they'd all just fall into order. So this document, the first paragraph says, because a volume is constructed on a storage pool, you need to create a pool before a volume can be created. If you have never created a storage pool before, you can go to Storage Manager, Storage, and click the Create Now button to start creating the storage pool and the volume simultaneously. That's the first time Creation Wizard will guide you through the process. So let's see if we can do it without reading anything else. So let me make this full screen, and I want to be into storage, and I'll create, let's see if I can create a volume. So I only have the choice of creating a new storage pool here, so I imagine I could also create that here, but let's just do it with a create volume option. So I'm going to pick SHR like I'm using for my first volume, and we'll just call this storage pool 2. I don't have to think too much. I see the storage pool 1 here, and I could just copy their method. Now I get to add the drives. I could have filled that expansion unit with 5 drives and only picked 2 of them to create a second volume, and then created another volume on 3 more drives or 2 more drives. So I'll select both of them, or you could select the top to select them all. I'll hit next, and here's a notice. This is telling me that the expansion unit cannot be powered off separately from the main unit, which I already know. And this is going to give you the choice of performing a drive check, which I imagine will be a quick smart test, so I'm going to do it, and I'll pause the video if I need to, if it's a longer test. Alright, so the selected drives are these 2, the storage pool 2, and I'll hit apply. It's going to erase all the data on the drives. Click yes or click OK. Okay, so now I have a consistency check running on that. All right, so you'll see my notifications. It detected the two drives once it was powered back up. When I powered down, I got a notification that it was lost the connection to the UPS. And we can just erase all this. All right, so now I'm just going to click Max for the modify allocation size. It's already pre-selected for the storage pool I want. It's telling me the total capacity is going to be 3,715.8 gigabytes. And I can do a volume description if I want. I don't remember doing that originally, but I'm just going to type volume 2, assuming this is the description. I'll pick the BTRFS file system like my original volume has. This allows me to enable snapshot protection on that volume, along with the ability to schedule, I'm losing the word, to schedule data scrubbing to prevent bit rot. I'll hit next. And I don't want to encrypt this volume. Hit apply. And I now have a second storage pool and a second volume, and it's creating the file system right now. It's really as easy as that. And the time left is 1 day and 17 hours and 33 minutes. So this will take a while before I can then add a folder. So let me do this. Let me show you how that works with my older NAS. Take that off screen. Oh, I'm already logged in. I don't have to worry about it. So this is my first DS1019 Plus. It's eventually going to become a backup unit off-site for my current NAS and all my Plex media. So let's go to File Station. And this is what you do if you were going to create a new shared folder on your new volume. So I'll simply choose create and then create folder, and I'll call it test for video. Hit OK. Oh, I don't think I did that right. I didn't do that right, sorry. So it's create new shared folder, which is a whole different screen. All right, now I only have the choice of ext4 on volume 1 or volume 2 because I didn't know enough to set this up correctly, but this is where I'm going to create that. Actually, let's cancel out of this. So again, none of my videos are scripted. I just wing it, and this is part of the being winged. So let's go into File Station, and this is my little note to myself. This shared folder for music is on my first volume, and you can see how it says, when you hover over it, it says music at volume 1, and if I hover over this one, it says music 2 at volume 2. So I add a little 2 to the same folder name just so I can look at it and know where it is, where it lives. So the same thing with a Plex folder, volume 1, volume 2, and I don't have a third volume, but this is a network share from my newer Synology NAS, and this enabled me to copy my media files over to the new NAS, where I had to fix everything with FileBot to set everything straight. So let's, TV is on 2. Let's see what I can use. We'll say I wanted to put some Docker containers on the new volume. We'll use Docker as the example. Create new shared volume, Docker 2. You have to decide whether you want the recycle bin enabled or not, or restrict it to an administrator only. You might with something like Docker. You might not with other media folders. I'll hit next. I won't encrypt it. Next again. Apply. This is where you can pick permissions. And again, unscripted video, I screwed this up. Let's delete it. Sometimes I can't talk and do what I want to do at the same time. Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it from Control Panel, Shared Folder. This is where I want to create things. Create Docker 2. And this is where I have to pick Volume 2. Okay, and in the control panel for shared folder, it clearly shows you which volume you're on. And I don't really have the volume created yet, so I'm jumping the hoop, which is why it doesn't say SHR like it does for volume 1. So again, there's a bit of unscriptedness to these videos, and I didn't think that part through. I don't have a volume to put it on yet because it's being created. And I'm surprised that DSM let me do that, and maybe it would just hold it there in the queue and apply the settings once the volume was fully created. So again, that's how you handle it. And if we go back, this is just going to be a long wait, 19 hours and 55 minutes for the storage pool, and 18 hours and 50 minutes for the volume 2. Mike, I hope this helps you. And for anybody else watching, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I only make videos to help other people, especially with topics that there aren't already good tutorials on. And I scoured the internet a little bit looking for something like this and didn't find one and decided to do it myself. Happy plexing. Enjoy your Synology NAS.